When I moved to Portland, Oregon, I started to do athletic modeling. With that came seeing an art director on set, the photographer, understanding how everything comes into play, because as the model, they do show you a mood board when you come on set. And this is how we want you to act and feel while you're in front of the camera.
That's Jackie Lavitt Michaelsen. I'm Cara Duffy, and this is the Powerful Ladies Podcast. Welcome to the Powerful Ladies Podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I have had the pleasure of working with you on a handful of projects, and every time you've touched a brand I've been a part of, it's just been magic. So let's tell everyone who you are, where you are in the world, and what you're up to.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great getting to work with you through so many different people. So yeah, it's kind of like a close, tight-knit family that we have. But yeah, so I am originally from New York. I graduated from Towson University with a track and field scholarship. I studied graphic design and marketing. In my senior year of college, I started to do freelance graphic design, and that was really the jumpstart into my career of where I am today. So when I graduated, I was able to take real life work that I had from my senior year along with all my projects from college and present that portfolio to so many different brands and trying to get my name out there. And it really just guided me into the route of doing freelance graphic design, and then adding in art direction in like my most recent years. So it's been a really cool journey. I know we're going to talk a lot about it. But with that being said, I started everything remote. So I was able to move from New York to Oregon. I was doing long distance relationship with my now husband. And so that's what brought me out to the West Coast. But I've loved every minute of it, being able to venture out. The creative industry on the West Coast too, a lot of freelancers and entrepreneurs. It's been really great to be a part of that. And now I'm based in Los Angeles and continuing my freelance journey. And that's kind of just like the sum of where I am today.
I love it. And then what's your name? So we can tell everyone your full name.
Oh, that's important. My name's Jackie Michaelsen. My freelance design company is Jacqueline Lavitt Designs.
So part of why you and I have gotten to work together is that you married into maybe the most entrepreneurial family that I know, because everyone who's involved is an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I mean, we all cross paths too. Like we're all helping each other out in one way or another, which I had no idea that I would be looped in so much, but forever grateful for it. Yeah, I mean, my sister-in-law has a company called Statement Home. My mother-in-law is a very successful interior designer and has her own storefront now. And my husband and his brother, another in-law, they started a beverage brand that's doing incredibly well in California. So,
and the other brother is a digital artist.
Yes, exactly. And so everyone's like meshing. We help each other out. We love like giving feedback and coming up with ideas together. So it's a big collaborative space. Very, very entrepreneurial.
If you look back at 8-year-old you, would she have imagined what you're doing today or the life that you have?
Probably not. I think that a lot of setbacks I had was coming from thinking I'm not good enough when I was younger, and being able to truly move away from home, from where I was or what I so thought was comfortable to me, I think helped me realize that I am good enough. I can establish myself no matter where I'm living. So that definitely added some vote of confidence. But growing up, I definitely wouldn't have thought that I am where I am today.
Mm-hmm. And where did you and your husband meet?
We actually met in Israel. which is super special. We were both on sporting teams that were competing in Israel. It's called the Maccabia, and it's essentially the Jewish Olympics for anyone that doesn't know. Um, so we were long distance, started long distance because we had met overseas, and he's originally from the West Coast and I'm from the East Coast, but we found our way back to each other, uh, especially through track and fields. We were both track and field athletes in college, so that's what really rekindled our relationship.
What did you compete in?
I in Israel, it was actually my last chance to play basketball. So I was on the youth basketball team there.
I love that. And what did you run in track and field?
I like to say I was forced into the 4x4 and the 200.
Same. I
But
was the other way. I was like
oh, really?
800 miler, and they're like, we need you to run a leg in the 4x4. I'm like, really?
Yeah, that always happens. And I actually was recruited for high jump, and my mom was a high jumper at U of A, so it's in the family. But I definitely got forced into running, which I think no matter what event you specialize in, you're always doing something else on the track team.
Yes.
It comes
Yes.
with it.
Wherever there's a hole, you will be put.
Yes, you get it.
Yes. Um, when you were growing up, like, did you come from a creative family? Like, where did your eye and your creative, leaning come from?
Definitely my mom. Uh, my dad is in real estate, and it's not so creative. But my mom was a graphic designer. She now has her own stationery company where she creates invitations or any stationery that you need at home, and also like custom products. So it definitely came from her side of the family. My grandma's an incredible painter. I have her artwork like everywhere in my house, obviously, except for this one view that's like a white wall. Um, but yeah, I would say it's my mom's side for sure. My older brother, I'm in the middle of the two of two brothers. So my older brother is an incredible artist too, even though he didn't take that career route. He is amazing at hand drawing, and we're all lefties. So, we're
Very
like
interesting.
creative lefties. So
Mhm.
yeah.
You, I think, have such a unique eye that is able to take whatever brand you work with and elevate it while still making it feel approachable and friendly. Is that intentional? How did you develop that? Like, who's inspired you to kind of find your path?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like being from New York, I always, would gravitate towards luxury brands in New York City, and it being like a fashion icon, a place where so many people go for luxury brands or luxury experiences. Um, so I think that always stuck with me. However, going from graduating in Maryland and then moving to Oregon, it's not so luxe. So I think that I was a little bit caught up there, and then coming to LA, I felt like, "Oh, this feels right." But with that being said, so much work that I've done has been remote that I was able to still have my personality and luxury, design style shine through. I really love to create something that's modern and timeless. And I think with that being said, like less is more. And I continue to find clients that really align with my style. And that's like, I mean, the number one thing when you are working with other people or someone comes to you with a potential project. It's like, does my style align with yours? And just having that initial conversation from the get go. Um, but yeah, thank you. Definitely my goal, so I'm happy that that's shining through.
So many people have an idea of what it can be like to do art direction or graphic design or brand building as a freelance, as their own business. What's advice that you would give them if they're thinking about it?
Um, I would say get right into it, if don't expect to make a ton of money at first if you're just establishing yourself. It's really about gaining that experience of connecting with the client, knowing the right questions to ask, and once you kind of have that experience under your belt, you can then realize how much am I worth? How much do I need to charge for XYZ and really know like what you're going to give them for that price. But I mean, when I started, I was taking $50 logo design projects um, and just trying to like over deliver. And I always ask to provide feedback at the end. Any feedback is good feedback to me, like something didn't work out. Okay, let me figure out how I make that not happen for the next client. And every client is going to be different. And I think that communication just is the biggest part of it. I've gotten into some sticky situations where feedback has said one thing and I kind of took it as another. And it was a lot of back and forth, and which extended a project. And I think a lot of it is just practice and doing it over and over again. But there are so many things I can go into of like different mishaps that happened and all the different experiences and how you can't start it with thinking that you're just going to get, freelance money immediately because that's not really how it works. You have to build your portfolio, figure out what style you really gravitate towards and what you know that you can produce well and just showcase that. And then you will attract the right clients in the end.
What are some of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
I would have to say Bandier. I did freelance with them for a really long time. I did a lot of social designs and email marketing and all the digital aspects, but they did task me with rebranding their own athleisure line, their luxury athleisure line. So I got to create a logo and patterns that were then like printed on product, and then seeing it being worn in person is really cool, and I still see it. I mean, in LA, like Bandier is very popular here, and it's popular in New York, and it's a lifestyle athleisure brand. Um, but that would be the coolest project. There was a whole campaign around the new designs and the logo, so I felt like that was a big moment in showing like, look, I can do more than just brand identity.
Mhm. There's nothing better than seeing products in the wild.
Oh yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
100%. I Also, with my husband's brand, Leisure, their can is everywhere, their hydration beverage, and so it's also really cool to see that. We did work with an illustration artist, so I know what I can do well, and, if it's something that I feel like it is not an aspect or a project that I can succeed in, I will outsource and work with someone, and I think that's also an important tip for anyone that is going freelance as well, is knowing where your strengths lie and then maybe outsourcing to where they don't. But I do love that art direction of connecting the 2. So we worked with an illustration artist, and I did copy and other, designs to their actual printed product. But along with that, been designing the website and any art direction and print collateral as well. So it's been really cool to see them grow and see people recognize the brand as well. And that was a completely different space for me. The CPG space for beverage specifically is a whole nother ballpark. And constantly revising and editing copy on the can. So it's sort of a never-ending project, but that's just because they're learning as they go. They're constantly getting feedback from other people and like likewise with everything that I do in freelance as well.
I saw them when I went to Sprouts last time, and I was like, "Ooh, I know who they are."
It's such a great feeling. It's really awesome. Yeah, there's not much like it. I mean, I've done freelance for a couple of brands that are starting out and then never went past that. So, like, there are a lot of designs that I've made and I've gotten paid for, had a great relationship with the client, but they might not have seen that specific project through or what they were starting through. So, that was kind of like when that happens, you're a little discouraged, but it's nothing to the designer. It's just they didn't continue to push their concept to be out in the world. So some of that's like a little bit, I don't know what the correct word is that I'm looking for, but not necessarily discouraging, but you're like, "Oh, I just wanna see it out there, like, I work so hard," but in the end, it's not up to you. You do what you can on your side of things.
The hardest thing I have to do is let people decide to walk away from a business or a brand that they have, because I know that any business or brand can be successful. There's always a way to make it successful. And it speaks so much to the grit that people have and just knowing like, no, it's going to be successful. It's bumpy right now. We're going to get there because it's so easy. Logic tells you to walk away from starting a new business.
Right.
It's lonely. It's hard. It's always more expensive than we thought it was going to be. Like you're missing out on social activities because you're working late or flying somewhere for a meeting, and you're making choices that are going to pay off down the road, but they don't short term.
Yeah,
And that takes a different spirit to be ready to be in it for the long haul.
absolutely. That's so
There's,
important, like, why you exist, why your business exists, like, to have that voice, like, you can do it, you just need this plan, and expectations are that it will happen by so and so date, but it's not gonna necessarily be tomorrow.
I also think that you made a wise choice in your husband, because someone who does start a business and can stick through it, those qualities, what we do in business is what we do in life. So stick to itness is what you want in a partner.
Yes, absolutely. And it is really tough. I don't know how a lot of, people work with their significant others full time because I don't think I can do that. I know our boundaries, but, we do both work late nights, whether we're, like, working together or separately, and it comes with it, and just knowing that this isn't a long-term thing. We're grinding now so we can do what we need to do in the end and reach our goals and be where we wanna be. So, it definitely is important. It's not easy. It's definitely hard.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
What's that quote? We need to be willing to like live life like no one else now so we can live like no one else later.
Yeah,
But it is. It's like we really have to keep coming back to our path, our journey, our path, our journey. So
absolutely.
it's good that you not only have a husband, but a whole family and your mom and like their whole, you have a community around you of people who have done things their way. And I think that that's so important and maybe not celebrated enough lately.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're so right.
People who start off in graphic design don't always end up doing creative direction and art direction and websites and product design. And oh, and by the way, I can model for your photos when you need them. So, like, how have you taken up space in this art direction, creative direction world? Because it's really easy to get pigeonholed in, like, oh, just do the logo. You and I both know that the logo is step one of 500 to
Mhm.
really bring a brand to life. So, how have you elbowed your way in to be allowed the responsibility to truly nurture a brand in a more 360 way?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question and definitely important to voice that if someone comes to me for a logo, I'm like, logo is part of a brand identity and brand guidelines that you need. And I'll like explain everything that goes into it, where I need to first understand your target audience, what your end goal is, and I need to know the information so that I can best produce what you need. Um, with that being said, I did start doing a lot of logo design from the beginning and then doing, Facebook ads and social media ads. But when I moved to Portland, Oregon, I started to do athletic modeling. So I think that with that came seeing an art director on set, the photographer, understanding how everything comes into play because as the model, they do show you a mood board when you come on set, and this is how we want you to act and feel while you're in front of the camera. And something about seeing the direction and talking to the photographer and how the photographer was talking to me when I was in front of the camera, to be like, lean more to the left or like move your chin, all these little details. I was like, whoa, this is cool. Like there's a lot more that goes into this rather than just throwing a model in with a photographer. There's a whole overarching concept. Um, and I started to gravitate towards that. Like the more I was modeling, I was like, it's fun being in front of the camera, but I want to be behind it. I want to like come up with the concepts, create the campaigns and be a part of, you know, how a brand is visually representing themselves more than just a logo. So I do think that modeling helped me kind of identify, oh, art direction. That's what I really want to do. And when COVID broke out, I started to reach out to a bunch of brands in Portland who no one was really making content. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. And I would reach out. I made a whole mood board, what I can do to produce photography for them for social. So, I mean, everyone was buying online after a certain point. So I was like, okay, what can I do? So I reached out to jewelry brands and a few a few other brands, but really trying to stick to like health, wellness, and fashion oriented brands. And so that was cool because then I just did pro bono photo shoots where there weren't, they didn't have much to say. They were like, this is our brand, but here you go, because it was free. And I think that made me be even more excited. Uh, and I think that you can kind of understand where passion lies because you want to create something regardless of any money coming in. And it was a favor essentially, but I wanted to do it and I loved doing it. So then I started to add art direction into the mix and I get hired for it now. So it all will come together, but I think not money shouldn't be like the sole purpose of why you want to do something. And I think that getting to be a creative manager and art director really did stem from like opening the door into starting to model. So
Mhm. Was it terrifying when you first started to model, or was it fun right from day one?
so nervous. I mean, I get nervous for everything. I think I put on a very like strong like aura or something. Like people can't believe that I get nervous, but I get so nervous. Even like
Mhm.
my brother recently got married and I gave a speech at his wedding and I went around to tell everyone I was nervous so that I was really nervous, but I
Yeah.
did also, if I messed up, everyone knew I was nervous. And I'm trying to like feel a little less nervous the more I do things and put myself out there. But I also just think it means I care so much. So I don't want to ever completely get rid of the nerves, but they are always there. When it came to modeling, I think it took like 3 shoots where I was like, okay, I got this. And you kind of like warm up in the beginning after you meet everyone. And by the end of the day, you're like buddies with everyone and you feel way more comfortable, but it's the first interaction that's definitely tough. But again, like with everything, whether it's my freelance business, it was modeling or anything in life, it's just the more you do, the more comfortable you'll feel.
Yeah. It not a model, but when I have to do photo shoots for my own brand, I know right away whatever the first kinda outfit or look is, chances are we're gonna ditch all those photos because 'cause I'm just not
Yep.
relaxed yet. So we always pick an outfit I'm not excited about, and we do that one first.
You are a model because
Well,
we work together on Bougie Gougies.
that's true, that's true. I have been a model for multiple, client brands because there just wasn't anyone else to do
Yes.
it. So when you look at the words powerful and ladies, what do those words mean to you? And do they mean something different when they're next to each other?
Oh, I like this question. I think that they definitely mean something different when they're next to each other. I mean, we're adding women into the mix, but powerful itself, I feel like it's having the strength to do what you want to do and knowing that your own voice is the only thing that would hold you back. I think that kind of just ties in with me as an 8-year-old self thinking like, "Oh, you're not good enough." But, I was, and I am. I just didn't have that inner voice strength, like, louder than that other voice speaking to me. But, powerful ladies together, I think that makes me feel even, like, more comfortable rather than just hearing powerful, because it feels like there is a collaborative space of women that want to see each other succeed and support one another, which I absolutely love.
How does female empowerment show up differently in the different communities that you're a part of?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up also from New York, but, I grew up in a really Jewish community. It was a public school, just there were a lot of Jewish boys and girls around, a lot of Jewish families. Um, and when I went to Towson University, it was so diverse that, it was a little bit of a culture shock for me, trying to figure out, like, where do I belong? There weren't many Jewish people. I didn't necessarily feel alone because I had the track team, but my religion, I didn't celebrate things as I would when I was home. So I didn't really do Shabbat dinners, and then, as I got older and married my husband who was also Jewish, it was really special that now, okay, we do light the candles every Friday night, and there's a sentiment in it where you're feeling good to embrace who you are, and I just hope that with Judaism and other religions that we can continue to do that as women, um, and just because someone believes in one religion doesn't make them a bad person, you know? We can all coexist, and we all have great things to offer. So, I think that has been, like, a huge part, I mean, lately, given all the current events happening, and, it has been really hard. It's been especially hard for my brother who's in, law school, and I can't imagine being Jewish in college right now. It's super scary. So I just if there is anyone in college listening and is a powerful lady, just wanna say that you're not alone. Whether you are Jewish or not, we should all be here to support one another.
Yeah. I don't Women are not the reason that people are getting divided on religion. It's just
100%.
there's every woman I know cares. It's like it's about fixing things. It's about healing things. It's about connecting things. And the idea that any religion makes dramatic differences between people is just such nonsense.
Right.
And growing up on the East Coast, like I can't even believe we're having these conversations today that we are, because I'm like, wait, everything was fine. What are you talking about? Like, it's been a diverse community for such a long time. And I think it's just an example of it's the same reason why like women's empowerment can feel boring sometimes, because you're like, don't we have this already? Isn't this done? And then you turn around and you're like, oh, it's not done. Okay, hold on.
Right.
But and it's just the same thing. But I think that the modern younger generations are just so over it because there's so much repression happening. Like, name your demographic, LGBTQ, native, like whatever it is, we're not being treated the way that we know that we deserve to be. And it's a human to human thing first.
Yeah.
So I do think it's so special when you can find a partner who either participates or honors the things that matter to you and the things that tie you back to all of the people who have come before you that allowed you to be here. Um, I'm actually really excited because I go to Passover at a friend's house every year, and this is the first year I'm allowed to make something. So I'm responsible for making harosa.
Wow.
I know.
That's amazing. That's so funny. They're like, "Okay, this year, we're gonna allow you
Yeah.
to."
Now I'm allowed. Yeah.
That's amazing.
We were pre-making latkes last weekend, and yeah, now I'm making my own dish. I'm allowed to be
Latkes are no
independently.
joke. Latkes are hard work.
They are.
KitchenAid
There's
or whatever it might be, it is hard work. It is a lot.
mhm. But they're delicious, so I feel like it's so worth it.
So worth it. And like just to be able to share and bring everything you've cooked with everyone. And everyone's like, oh, the latkes are so good. This like everyone just loves to be together. You know, kind of just going back to what you're saying about different religions and really all most Jewish holidays are, let's put some good food in front of friends and family and let's all hang out and have a good time. And there's so much commonality in that. And it's so special. So if one religion does it one way, another religion does it another way. It's the essence of being together with friends and family and no distractions, like just being together.
And just being so thankful. Like the fact that we have family, we have friends, we have food, we have a shelter to have this gathering under. Like I was joking at Passover last year. I'm like, this shouldn't be called Passover. It's just like appreciating humanity. Can we rename like
Right,
do people know what this is actually about?
right.
Because it's reminding us what we can be as people.
Yes.
All right. So we went on a whole tangent. Thank you for that.
I
I'll let you
mean,
know how my harissa
I could talk
goes.
like forever, yeah. Please save me a small container.
Yeah, I will. I'm like shipping this to you to see if it would pass the test. Thank you.
Definitely
You
let
know,
me know how it goes.
I absolutely will. So we ask everyone on the podcast where you put yourself on the powerful lady scale. If 0 is average everyday human and 10 is the most powerful lady possible,
Oof.
how would you rank yourself today and on an average day?
Um, I mean, I don't think I'm there at a 10. I still get super nervous. Um, I don't know, maybe like a 5, I think. Um, just below average. Um, I this is really tough. I think it's a 5 because I've had 7 years of freelance of meeting people and really, like, doing what I can to put myself out there, but by no means am I done yet, and I have a lot of growth to do still. Um, but yeah, let's go with 5.
Okay, I like it. So we were talking before we hit record about how you're so proud that all this hard work that you've put into building your art direction and creative direction career as a freelancer has finally opened up an opportunity for a brand that you are very excited to work with, whose name we cannot mention, but everyone listening, it's amazing. Like it is amazing. It's one of the top luxury brands in the world. So how did this experience come about? How do you feel about it? What are you excited about?
Oh my god, I'm, like, grinning ear to ear right now. So, obviously, like, so excited. It's a huge pivotal moment for me because 7 years freelancing, I sometimes would be in a rut of, "Okay, what are you just, like, continuing to go through, like, client after client?" Like, not meaning that I didn't, succeed and do everything I needed to do for the client, but I was kind of like, okay, what do I want next? Like, what is the goal of this? And I continued to question it. A great opportunity came along, and I was like, I see why I'm doing all of this. Um, and I mean, it's a huge change for sure. I mean, the flexibility in my schedule will be more limited, but with that comes this new role comes amazing responsibility and growth that I can only imagine how helpful it will be for me in my career and my personal life. Um, I am excited to manage a team. Like I am really looking forward to this role and and even more excited that it's headed towards the art direction side of things. So really seeing that what I wanted is coming true. It is a goal, but there are going to be many goals now added to my list. But yeah, I keep saying to myself, "Wow, I'm wrapping up my freelance projects right now," which is a little bit of a challenge because I really want them to be done before my start date, but I also don't want to rush them. Um, but in the back of my head, I'm like, "Okay, I think I've graduated from brand identities after I like finish this." So it's exciting. I am so thrilled for the change and Yeah, I'm excited to see where it's gonna lead me. It does include another move, so I'm going back to the East Coast. But it's sort of home for me, so
It's a new adventure. It's
absolutely.
a and it's a new part of the East Coast for you, right? So haven't lived there yet full time, so great.
I know. Yeah, it's amazing.
I think that I was having a conversation with a woman the other day about how part of my business coaching has moved on to helping people know when to close their business or to take on the next thing. Because so often we think, oh, we started a business, we're going to have this business forever. And
Mhm,
it's like, why? Nothing else is forever. And so I think it's important to talk about that there's seasons that we go through with our business, whether it's okay, we're an entrepreneur right now. Now we're going back into the corporate world. But as you mentioned, you've always had very entrepreneurial approach to what you're doing. So I don't think we have to give up those same values. It's just a project structured differently. Like it's longer term, it's with a team, it's just that one client.
mhm.
They happen to just pay you a W-2 instead of a 1099.
Health insurance.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's definitely not giving up things. I do know that I can always go back to freelance, and if it's not the freelance that I'm, sort of wrapping up now, it's gonna be freelance in some other type of way. But I do hope to be in this role for, like, a very long time in the sense of, learning and collaborating with more people. That is the only thing with freelance is that you're collaborating with your clients, and unless you have other designer, art director friends or friends within the realm of which you are to give feedback, you're sort of, judging it on your own. So, I think it can limit growth unless you put yourself out there. Um so, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily giving up anything either, but it is important to know when it might be time to move on, and if it is something that you enjoyed, you can always come back to it.
And just to know that it's okay. Like you're not selling out by choosing an awesome corporate job.
Right.
Like it's just not true. And I think it's like a myth that's happening right now where like, why can't you jump between your own thing to working for someone else? Like it really isn't that different. It's like they're giving you all these opportunities and all this experience that you could have to work who knows how long to get. So why not take the shortcut because this amazing company values you and wants you on their team?
Right. And I think that there's some people are like that I tell who I might not be close with, "Oh, you're working for corporate world, like, from freelance?" And then there's, like, this little stigma of, "Why would you ever do that?" But I don't know, I've been freelancing for 7 years. This is totally my next step. I'm not that it would matter, but I'm not taking a job that's, like, below, like, entry level or something that would be kind of going in an opposite direction. But it's sometimes hard for people to grasp, like, "Oh, you're going back to corporate or you're going to corporate?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm, like, grinning ear to ear, like, I totally am. I couldn't be more excited. So,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. I never thought I was in my MBA is in entrepreneurship. I never thought I'd work for anyone else, but I had the best time working for other people because I got to be entrepreneurial. I got to make new things. I got to travel the world. I got to hang out with cool people. It hit so many of the values that I still have now.
Mhm.
It's just, I really think of it the way I said of before I worked with a bunch of different categories at one company, and now I work with a bunch of different companies. But who I am and how I'm showing up, it's the same. Like the biggest challenge is not having like work friends, but my clients have become friends. So I think
Good.
that's kind of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same.
100%.
But that's why I think it was so important to tell this part of your story because I want people to know like you can do whatever the hell you want. And if it's fun to you, go chase it.
Mhm.
So um, I'm proud of you. I'm really excited. This is such a cool opportunity for you.
Ew.
And I just know like your magic wand with this place is going to be really extraordinary. So I'm excited to see it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So for everybody who wants to follow you, support you, cheer you on, where can they do that?
You could follow me at Jacqueline Lavitt Designs on Instagram. My website is also jacquelinelavittdesigns.com or jacquelinelavitt.com. And yeah, you could follow me there. I'm also on LinkedIn as Jackie Michaelsen. I try to include Lavitt is my middle name, so I try to include it everywhere I can so people know it's connected. Um, Marriage can sometimes complicate things. um, but yeah, Jacqueline Lavitt Michaelsen is my full name, so it should come up regardless. Would love to connect to anyone who's interested or wants to learn more about freelance, and has any questions for me.
And where can they find leisure if they
Oh,
want to support the husband's company, which is delicious, and I highly encourage it.
yes, absolutely. In Bristol Farms and Sprouts, and if you're in LA, it's in Erewhon and Justa Grocers. They also are in Giada, an amazing sandwich spot in LA. So definitely check them out. They're leisureproject.co. So yeah, they're delicious hydration beverage, low in sugar, everything you need for that afternoon feel good.
Yes, I need one right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we are a big, powerful community. The last thing I want to ask you today is what can we do for you? What's on your to wish or to manifest list? How can we help you?
Oh my gosh. I guess like support, and knowing that I'm going on to a new opportunity, which I'm so excited about, but I am also so nervous. So just knowing that, we have each other's backs and we're there if we need advice for each other, I think that that would be wonderful.
All right, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being a yes to me and the Powerful Ladies. I'm so excited for where you're going next, and yeah, I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. I appreciate it. This was amazing.
All the links to connect with Jackie are in our show notes at thepowerfulladies.com. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening and leave us a rating and review. Join us on Instagram at Powerful Ladies, and you can connect directly with me at karaduffy.com or Kara_Duffy on Instagram. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, I hope you're taking on being powerful in your life. Go be awesome and up to something you love.